Single moms who feel left behind, I can honestly tell you that you can never feel behind when you get educated on any profession in life. One of the things that I've noticed, or out of so many things that I've noticed with a lot of single moms who are young, is that they don't go back to education. They don't go back to education. Now, I live in England, and I see a lot of single moms who just end up staying home, become a full-time mom, and they have decided to sacrifice their whole life for their kids, or they have decided to take on being a mom as a full-time job, as their whole career path, and they don't bother to get educated on anything. They don't bother to acquire skills. They don't bother to go back to school. And so what tends to happen is after a couple of years, they start to feel left behind on a lot of things. And what you'd also find is that not only do they feel left behind, but they don't dress up and look good on a daily basis. They don't put effort in their looks anymore. They don't put effort into learning new things anymore. They don't put effort into looking their best anymore. Because the truth is, when you decide to become a full-time mom, I'm talking about the young single moms right now. When you decide to become a full-time mom and sacrifice yourself or your whole life because you've got kids, then you tend to avoid a lot of social settings that would require you to dress up and look good all the time. And you become isolated to just being in the house and staying indoors all the time. And then you have nothing that you're looking forward to. You don't attend events. You don't dress up to go out. But then in a couple of years, when your kids grow up and they, go do their own thing, then you're going to be resentful and bitter and envy towards other people and other women who do have kids and they got their life together. When I found out I was pregnant, I was in my second to last year of secondary school. So I still had one more year to go. And one of the things that I said to my mom was that as soon as I give birth, I would be back to school immediately. That was not up for negotiation. There was no there was no argument or discussion about it. That was the plan, period. My parents were immigrants. They were fully born and raised in Nigeria, so I'm pretty much the first generation here in Europe. And one thing immigrant parents, one thing they don't joke with is education. They don't joke with education because they understand how important it is to get educated. Education will put you sitting amongst people that are of upper class and higher class. Okay, education can do that. Education can allow you to earn extra money. Education can allow you to be valuable in society, in your community. Education will allow you to have a name that could live on after you die. Education is so important. So when I gave birth, luckily enough, I did not have a C-section. I had an epidural. I had a normal delivery. And 3 weeks later, I was back into school. I wasn't breastfeeding because that could have been a huge setback for me. So my son was just taking the normal SMA Gold milk. I don't know if that still exists because that was 15, 16 years ago. And so I went back into school, and let me tell you, even though I went back into secondary school at the time, I felt like I was like a mom, but at the same time I was a young girl, and I could play both lives and live both lives at the same time. And it was really cool because at the time I used to watch a TV show called Hannah Montana, and I don't know if some of you know that. Hannah Montana on Disney Channel, and she was playing two different lives, two different lifestyle, and I felt like my life was really like that. And I think that's one of the reasons why I fell in love with that show. My life was like that. And so I would go to school and it would be me as a 16-year-old girl, a young 16-year-old girl with all my mates talking, blah, blah, blah. And then I would go back home and I would switch back to mom mode. And the reason why I kind of liked it was I didn't feel like I was alone in this whole just being a mom, give birth, feed the baby. And no, like I felt like I had something to dress up for. I had something I was looking forward to. And I didn't feel behind because I was getting educated. And once I was done with secondary school, I passed all my exams and then I went into uni. And my parents were really shocked that I got into uni after giving birth, because my parents know a lot of young girls who get pregnant at 16 and they're dropouts and they don't go further with their education. So when my parents found out that I passed and I got into uni, my parents were so happy. They were so proud of me. And when I got into uni, I was so excited. I was so happy because I felt like, okay, I'm not just a mom, but I'm also going back to school. I'm a student. I'm learning. And I didn't feel behind. I didn't feel behind in life. And the girls who also got pregnant at the time when I got pregnant, they dropped out of school. They didn't bother pursuing anything. And one thing I noticed was that they attracted a very how do I say it, like they attracted a lifestyle that was just not it wasn't something that they had desired before they got pregnant. So they were living good, and then after they got pregnant and they dropped out of education, they just attracted guys who were drug dealers. They would attract jobs that were not paying them enough. They didn't bother dressing up. They had nothing to look forward to. They would live in areas, in council area, government houses, where most people who cannot afford a house, or people who are broke, that's where they live. And they just had a very rough lifestyle, a very rough, raggedy thug lifestyle. And when they saw me going back to school and getting into uni, they were shocked, because I just didn't look like a girl who went through the whole being pregnant at 16 and going back to school, passing my exam, then going into uni. I didn't look like that. And the reason why I didn't look like that was because going back to school allowed me to dress up and have something to look forward to. It allowed me to have inspirations. It allowed me to still have a dream, to still have a goal. It made me feel like it is possible for me to achieve my goals and achieve my dreams, even though I've got a kid. And now I understand why some women, after they get pregnant, after they have kids, they don't bother pursuing their dreams. I get it, because the whole process of being pregnant and having a child is an overwhelming process. It is overwhelming. It's a lot, especially when you have to do it on your own. If you have a man beside you, or a supportive husband or a boyfriend, it's different. But when you have to go through that process alone, it can really drain you mentally, physically, emotionally. And sometimes you think, is there any point? But I just thank God that I like my parents, we never did, like it was a non-negotiable thing for me to go back to education. That was just non-negotiable. And I thank God that it was like that, because going back to school made my dreams come alive again. It allowed me to think I can still achieve something. I could still become something, and it's not the end of the world. Now that I've got a kid, now that I'm a mom, that's not the end to me. There is more to me, because I went back to uni. And even though I didn't get a chance to do what I really wanted to do, which was event management, I ended up doing international hospitality and tourism management. Even though that was not the course I wanted to do, the fact that I can go into uni and see so many people from so many places 5 days a week got me excited. I didn't really like the course like that, but I just loved the environment of uni. I just loved the environment of talking to different people all the time, meeting different people all the time. It was just fun to me. I'm really like a people's people. I love being around people. I do have my days where I want to be isolated. I want to be alone. But when I want to go out and meet people and talk to people, I have those days as well. And for me, uni was that. Going to uni didn't allow me to think about my baby all the time. It didn't allow me to think about being a mom all the time. Like, I would forget that I was a mom, because when I'm out, I'm out. I'm not out and my mind is at home. Like, I'm out. That's how I am. And so This is why I really encourage you to really get back into education, because education will bring your dreams to life. Education will make you feel like you're current and you're not left behind. The girls who get pregnant by accident at a young age and they still get themselves back into education, they become successful. They really do. They thrive in what they do because education brings your dreams back to life. It's dead when you're pregnant, it's dead when you give birth, but as soon as you get into a course, if you don't, if you don't want to go into uni, I mean, they got adult courses, you can do online courses, you can do evening courses, but I really do encourage you to really go out there and not isolate yourself indoors, because when you meet people who also have these goals and dreams and vision, I don't know, there's just another level of excitement, and it kind of reminds you that you're really not on your own and you can do it as well. Whereas if you just isolate yourself at home and you're doing the course, it's very easy to get discouraged. It's very easy to feel like you don't want to do it anymore, right? But when you're like, let's say you're studying to become a nurse, and you go into uni and you're around people who are nurses, or you're in college and you're surrounded by people who want to study nurse, then you feel like, okay, I'm not the only one. Like, I have other people who also have the same goal, who also have the same vision that I can talk to, and this and that. And it would stop you from talking about your kids 24/7. I have noticed that single moms or mothers who don't progress in education, mothers who don't do personal development or don't improve their mind or anything like that, when they go out to the public, all they do is talk about their kids all day long. All day long. Mothers who are educated, mothers who have goals, mothers who have visions and dreams, and they have plans to achieve big things in life, they don't talk about their kids in public 24/7. They really don't. They talk about themselves. And the only time they'll talk about the kids is if you ask or you visit them in their house. That's how I know the difference between a mother who's gone back to education and a mother who has decided to not do anything and just become a full-time mom. They just don't talk about anything else than just being a mom and their kids. And they think, oh, this is a full-time job. It is a full-time job, but it's a full-time job on the side. It's not a full-time job that gives you money. You don't get much money out of it, right? And so education is that thing that will allow you to be able to have discussions with different types of people. If like, I can't even imagine what my life would look like if I didn't go back to if I didn't go back to school, or I didn't get into uni. I would not know a lot of things. Like, I wouldn't be able to have certain conversations with certain people because I didn't go back to education. Please do not let social media fool you and let people make you feel like education is not important, because it really is. And as single moms, we all know that our salary is not just for us, but it's for us and for our children. And the only way we can get our salary up or make our own money is to get educated. If you want to start a business, you need to get educated. You need to know how business works. You need to know the in and outs of business, what it requires you to do. How do you sell, the skills in selling. Like right now, I signed up for Audible because I realized if I want to start making extra money, I need to start learning how business works. I mean, we all know a rough idea of how business works, but the skill in selling, the skill and the art of like selling things, getting people to buy stuff. Also, reading books really help with the mind as well. Like I said before, in order to get our money up, as single moms, we need to prioritize education. Is so important. Not just get your kids an education, but to also get yourself in education, so that when you are surrounded by people in certain demographics, you be able to hold a conversation with these people. It gets to a point where you're going to be around certain people and you can't talk about keeping up with the Kardashian or Real Housewives. Like, those topics, they're not talked about around certain people. Like, you need to know your stuff. You need to know a little bit of everything. You don't need to know everything from start to finish, but you need to know a little bit of everything so you be able to have conversation with these people. Because if you're that type of person, when you go out to work, you go out to church, you go to the shops, all you do is talk about your kids, people get bored, people get tired, and people just find you boring. And at the end of the day, you're going to feel left behind and you're going to find yourself boring. So education brings your dreams back to life. Education will not make you feel like you've been left behind. You would feel like you currently know what is going on in the world. You would be surprised the amount of single moms that I know that are no longer educated. They're no longer prioritizing self-development. They're no longer learning, and the things that they talk about or how they talk or how they behave, you can tell that they are living in like 1999 or 1990s. I'm telling you right now, because there's a lot of single moms that feel left behind because they refuse to go further in education. They have refused. They have refused to read. They've refused to go for their dreams, go for their visions. They just feel comfortable where they are, but deep down they don't feel comfortable. There is going to be a bit of that resentment. There is going to be a bit of that lack of security, because if you're not educated and you're not reading, you can't get that money up. Even if you say, oh, but I'm gonna keep looking for a job, it gets to a point where if you want an increase of salary, you need to increase your skills. Or if you don't increase your skills, you're going to have to set up a business. Either way, you still have to read. You have to read to get the business going and understand the in and outs of a business, to understand how to read contracts. Or if you want an increase of salary, you're going to have to develop a skill to be able to get that increase. So the reading doesn't stop. This is something I've learned in my 30s. The reading never stops. It's an ongoing thing. It's an ongoing thing. So that is really it for this video. I'm really focusing on getting single moms back on the pedestal, and for you to get your power back, and for us to really thrive and grow and achieve what we want to achieve as a collective. I'm on the same journey as well with you all. And I'll be telling you all what I'm doing, and I'll also be advising you guys so that we can all, as single moms, be successful together, grow together, and thrive. Okay, so that's it for this video, and I'll see you all in my next one. Bye.